and welcome to Access Sportsnet. Lakers brought to you by your Toyota dealers. We make it easy. Chris McGee alongside Robert Horry, James Worthy. We have Mike Trudell down at the arena. For the second year in a row, the Charlotte Hornets beat the Lakers in L.A. They get blown away as the Hornets caught fire. They made 20 threes, shot 46% from beyond the arc, 54% for the game from the field. They had 3 players, Rob, with 25 or more, and don't count out the rookie Knuppel, who had 19. But for me, this game was kind of lost in that second quarter. Lakers were outscored 34-16. Remember, they had an early 13-point lead. They led by 9 at the end of the first. But the Hornets, from that point on, they got the confidence. They attacked them. 56 points in the paint. They also out-rebounded the Lakers by 15.
Yeah, you think about that second quarter where we talked about the rope-a-dope. They're doing the rope-a-dope. Then they came with that haymaker in that second quarter, and it just kind of stunned the Lakers. After that, it was all Hornets. And for me, you know, when you look at a team like this, I said it before this game started, that they beat OKC. So you can't take this team for granted because they're a young, talented team. They got a lot of energy. They got a lot of great athletes who can really shoot the rock. And you think about how Miles Bridges started this game off, you know, perfect. And that he kind of kept them afloat just enough for them to come alive and start knocking down threes. Think about that. 100 points between 4 players. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, I forgot about that OKC victory. You know, I didn't think they had, you know, this kind of firepower, you know, especially on the road. But even though they didn't outscore the Lakers on fast break points, I think Charlotte had 17, it was still the pace. It was the pace just getting up and down the floor. Even though they didn't score, it kept the Lakers at that pace. But then, you know, we seem to run into that 3-ball every other game, it seems like 20. And not, you know, and I think sometimes the pace got them back on defense, but then they were still getting those threes. And so it was just tough to watch. And then individually, they got young, talented with with Ball. He's just, you know, just dissecting the defense. And next thing you know, they got a 15, 14-point lead.
I think Ball only had 2 points at halftime.
3 points at half.
3 points.
He had 15 in the third quarter. He ended up with 30. And I'm going to show you this because it was the 4 young guys for this Charlotte team that did most of the damage, if not all. 100 points between the 4 players. 19 threes between the 4 players. Ball with 30, Miller with 26, Knuppel the rookie with 19, and Miles Bridges with 25, Rob.
Yeah, you're talking about sharing the rock. Look at that. Each one of those guys had, you know, double-digit shots, you know, and they were very efficient. You know, you look at that, 9 for 13, 7 for 10, 9 for 19, 9 for... Those guys were shooting the ball tonight. And when you get young bucks like this who get on a roll, you can't stop them because, number 1, they're faster than you. Number 2, they're more athletic than you. And they picked up the pace like James says. When you watch the pace of this game, even though it was no fast break, they move the ball. They want to get down, set it up, because once you got you on your heels, what they love to do, like that player right there, you know, that's just great basketball. You know, even though you look at it like, what the heck is he doing? Next thing you know, he's knocking down shots. But the Charlotte Hornets, that's the way they play. They like to play like that old Denver team you mentioned earlier, frenetic, up and down, get a lot of shots. But when they making them, this is what's going to happen. But the problem is with this team is they're very inconsistent. When they're consistent, this is what happens. But now they probably go off and lose about 6 games in a row because of that inconsistency that they shows all the time.
And James, they've been in L.A. since Sunday. They played the Clippers on Monday, and they've been chilling and waiting all the way here until Thursday, and they took advantage of it. In that second quarter, when the Lakers got really stagnant on offense, they were taking a lot of off-balance shots, no offensive rebounds. It was Charlotte that attacked, and the way they attacked them was getting into the paint, getting easy buckets, and then it opened everything else for 3, and when they were hot, couldn't stop them.
Yeah, that seems to be the prototype NBA players now. You know, yeah, you have your superstars, but then those teams that have multiple players, like you just had on that graphic, you know, like 4 players getting it done, and, you know, no particular system. They can kind of go at their own will. It makes it tough the way they play the game. And when you got an exceptional guard like Ball who can score and loosen up the defense like that, it makes it tough. But they're young. Like Rob said, they got energy. I'm not saying that we're old, but you know, we need to have some energy to match some of these younger teams. They've been in LA, you know, all they've been thinking about is, yeah, We're gonna play in the Clippers. There we got the Lakers, and it's a big game when they come here. So just
also you got to understand those 4 players. All top 10 picks, I think. What was Bridges? Bridges like, what, 7 or 8 when he was drafted?
Mm-hmm. And you got LaMelo, who's top, 3?
Yeah. And that goes to show you how that youth is kind of catching up. And that shows you that youth is kind of inconsistent.
Yes, so, of course. Yeah. Listen, that third quarter, I think this is what surprised me. The Lakers had that bad second. You expected them to come out and have a better third, which they did. But it was the Hornets and LaMelo Ball that scored 40. In that third quarter, and that's when LaMelo really woke up. I mean, he finished with 30 points, 9 threes, and 11 assists. Here's the thing, guys. With the Lakers and a back-to-back coming up on the weekend, you go to Portland, come home and play a tough Toronto team who's top 5 in the Eastern Conference, and then you have that 8-game road trip that's kind of looming where you got Clippers, Denver, and just to name a couple. They had a stretch here. 4 teams, 3 of them at home, under 500. They went 1-3.
Yeah,
did not take advantage, Rob.
You got to take advantage. I know James and I have been screaming this for the last 13 seasons. That you got to beat the teams you should beat. And you got to come out with that energy.
And it was something they were doing really well, Rob.
Yeah, it was something they were doing well at the beginning of the season. I think the injuries is catching up with them. You think, that, this is part of the season where your body starts getting tired because you're looking at that all-star break that's coming up where you can rejuvenate yourself. And I think tonight was one of those nights where you played so good 2 nights ago with all the energy and all the effort, and you expected to have that same energy, and it just wasn't there. You think about how Luka only shot the ball, once in the second half?
Second quarter. Yeah.
And that's not like Luka. And then you think about how, LeBron finally got his engine roaring in the fourth quarter, but it was a little too late. And it's a lot of things where you look at this team, you're like, okay, when we're going to put together 6 or 7 games where we play with the same energy, the same effort, and the same consistency, and that's how championship teams are molded, and that's what they do. And I don't think right now the way the inconsistencies and up and down the energy has anything to do with what the players are. I just think it's just about the injuries and the different lineups.
And also, let's be honest. I mean, it wasn't offense tonight. I mean, they shot 37% from 3, made 14 of them, put up 117 points, but you still lose by 18. James, defensively, like you said, you get into these track meet, these high-paced style games, it can wear you out a little bit.
And you depend on your success of being successful in the last 3 or 4 minutes. Clutch, they're pretty good. I think they had something like a 13-2 record in the clutch minutes, but you can't depend on that every time. You can't depend on getting down and then having to fight your way out of a deficit. The other thing is too, there are no excuses in this league. But like LeBron wasn't supposed to play in not this game, but the game before this. Okay, he decided to play because we don't have enough players we don't have Austin Reeves. We're getting Gabe back. So they haven't had, guys together to kind of feel that chemistry, but still they have to be able to play defense. Anybody can play defense. You're not going to get the free throws from Austin Reeves. You're not going to get the points. But you got to defend. And, I think that's something that a role player, anybody can do that.
Yeah, and getting out rebounded by 15, Rob. I mean, 14 of those were offensive. That led to 15 points. And they came at crucial times when the Lakers were back in that game. You and I were watching.
That fourth quarter, we were like, no, we back. Oh, no. It was like up and downs, a lot of highs and lows because they were making a defensive stand. But in my breakdown, what I say, the defense is not over until you secure that rebound. They played great defense, contested shots, but they weren't getting the offensive rebound. And a lot of that has to do with mismatches. And you get that in an NBA game because you think about it, everybody switches now. And Charlotte's big was so smart. He said, you know what? I ain't going to get there's no plays ran for me. I'm just going to bury this big and use my size and get the offensive rebound. What did he do? He kicked it back out. They knocked down a 3. And that's the one thing that you have to give them credit for. When you have that mismatch that you want on the offensive side with whoever's handling the ball, that's perfect because I'm just going to take you to the middle of the cup, man. My guy's going to shoot it, and I'm going to be in position to rebound.
All right, well, let's show you the highlights. Lakers taking on the Hornets. Crypto.com.